Police pulled him over for a routine check. The radio call changed everything. It was 12:30 in the afternoon. Bright sunlight. Busy road. Nothing unusual. That's why the stop felt wrong. A dark sedan eased onto the shoulder as two police officers stepped out of their cruiser. No sirens, no urgency, just calm authority. The black man behind the wheel turned off the engine and stepped out, slowly, respectfully. Hands visible. People drove past. Pedestrians glanced over, then kept walking. Routine check, one officer said, adjusting his belt. License and registration. The man nodded. Of course, he replied calmly. No argument. No attitude. The second officer circled the car, eyes scanning. Windows, tires, trunk. Where are you headed? Downtown, the man answered. Meeting. The officer raised an eyebrow. What kind of meeting? The man paused for half a second. Work. That pause was enough. The officer glanced at his partner. Step a little closer to the car, he said. The man complied. Still calm, still respectful. But something about him didn't fit. He wasn't nervous, wasn't defensive, wasn't trying to explain himself. He just waited. A woman at the bus stop slowed her steps. A cyclist stopped pretending not to look. The first officer examined the license longer than necessary, then frowned. You moved here recently? Yes. From where? The man answered. The officer tapped the radio on his shoulder. Dispatch, run the plate again. Static crackled. The man looked at the radio, then back at the officer. Is there a problem? He asked politely. Just procedure, the officer replied. But his tone had changed. The second officer stepped closer now, hand near the radio. Not the weapon, but close enough. Cars slowed as they passed. The man noticed. He took a breath. Officer, he said carefully, you might want to listen closely when that radio responds. The officers exchanged a look. What did you say? The man didn't repeat himself. He simply stood there, straight-backed, calm, certain. The radio crackled again. Unit 14, confirm location. The officer responded. Be advised, dispatch continued, voice suddenly formal. The individual you have stopped is flagged for... The radio cut to static. Both officers froze. The afternoon traffic noise felt louder now. The man's phone buzzed in his pocket. He didn't answer it. He looked at the officers and said softly, You might want to take that call. The radio clicked back on, and whatever dispatch was about to say next was about to change the power in that street completely. What began as a routine stop was about to become a career-defining moment. The radio crackled again. This time, there was no static, only silence, followed by a voice that sounded different, now measured, careful. Unit 14, dispatch said. Do not escalate. Please confirm the name on the license. The officer glanced down again, suddenly unsure. He read it aloud. There was a pause, a long one. Cars continued passing. A horn honked somewhere down the road. But right there, time slowed. Unit 14, dispatch returned. Stand by. The second officer shifted his weight. What's going on? He muttered. The man remained still, hands relaxed, eyes forward. Then the radio spoke again. Unit 14, you are currently conducting a stop on the E, department's newly appointed. Internal Affairs Chief. The words hung in the air. The first officer blinked. Repeat? Internal Affairs Chief, dispatch repeated. Effective this morning. No sirens, no drama, just the sound of truth landing. Both officers went completely still. The second officer's hand dropped from his radio. Slowly. The first officer swallowed. He looked at the man, not as a suspect now, but as a superior. The man finally spoke. I didn't plan to introduce myself like this, he said calmly. But here we are. The officers straightened instinctively. Sir, one said quickly, we had no idea. The man raised a hand. I know, he replied. That's the point. Dispatch returned one last time. Unit 14, supervisor en route. A few pedestrians had stopped fully now, phones lowered, eyes wide. The man glanced around at the midday street, the ordinary setting, that made this moment feel even heavier. You followed procedure, he continued. But procedure without awareness becomes bias. Neither officer argued. They couldn't. A patrol supervisor pulled up moments later. He stepped out, took one look at the man, and his face changed. "Chief," he said, nodding respectfully. The officers' stomachs dropped. The supervisor turned to them. "You're dismissed," he said quietly. "We'll talk later." No yelling, no punishment announced, which somehow felt worse. The man turned back to the officers one last time. "This stop," he said evenly, "will be documented, not to shame you, but to make sure the next person doesn't get stopped for the same reason." He paused. "You're free to go." The irony landed hard. The officers stepped back. The man returned to his car, started the engine, and drove away. Behind him, the officers stood frozen in the midday sun, badges heavy, radios silent, careers suddenly under a microscope. Traffic moved again. The world continued. But for them, nothing would ever feel routine again. The radio didn't expose his identity. It exposed the system.